What's going on, guys? Sam Donnelly here, one of them HAFL boys from the Outlander podcast and guitarist from the industrial rock group Deconbrio, coming at you with a fresh, brand new Outlander exclusive interview. Guys, I had the privilege, the honor, if you will, to have about an hour-long discussion with Leatherface. That's right. From Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, we got R.A. Mihailoff in the house. I feel like I'm butchering that every time I say it. But he insists I'm doing a fantastic job, so I'm just going to keep trucking through. Guys, I had so much fun. We did not expect to talk this long at all. I was told 15 to 20 minutes, and he just wanted to keep going. So that's what we did, and we talked about everything. Now, everybody knows about Leatherface, all right? You know, anytime any of these cats get interviewed, they're always hitting on the most common stuff. I like to try to dig a little deeper, try to find the unique intricacies of your career. For instance, did you know that Leatherface was on an episode of Full House? Well, now you know. Now you know. And if you keep listening, you're going to hear all about that. One thing that I didn't know going into this is that he also had a cameo in America's Funniest Home Videos. Apparently, Bob Saget's a fan. We go into his wrestling career, guys. Leatherface was in the ring. Leatherface was a wrestler. Leatherface was taking bumps. And Leatherface realized that there probably wasn't as much pay as he thought there might have been. We talk about his ghost hunting group with Kane Hodder. That's right, Kane Hodder, Jason Voorhees. We go into depth with his relationship with people like Kane and Bill Moseley and what it's like to work with your friends and how important that is. And finally, we talk about his upcoming film project called Ride Hard, Live Free. According to him, this is a post-apocalyptic biker movie. So we get into some details there. Before we get started, I would like to just give a shout out to one of our biggest sponsors, Otherworldly Coffee. Guys, this coffee has become my new caffeine go-to source. I am unapologetically, but also somewhat ashamed, a heavy caffeine addict. I have to have it pretty much all the time. Otherworldly Coffee has 4 blends for me, and they're all named after so many of these crazy, kooky cryptozoological figures. Like we've got a Bigfoot blend for you. We've got a Dogman blend for you. We've got an even lighter Mothman blend roast for you. And if you like it really super caffeinated like I do, if you like those dark roasts, they got a Firebird blend for you. And let me tell you this. If you decide to brew this stuff in your house, just, be careful. Keep an eye on your coffee pot. It could explode with green flame and shoot through your roof. And I don't know any insurance that actually covers that kind of stuff. So just, make sure you just you brew responsibly. So shouts out to Otherworldly Coffee, guys. If you go to their website right now, otherworldlycoffee.com, and use the code Outlander in their promo code little box there, you get a whopping 20% off. That's right, 20% off. Most places give you 10. Some places will give you 15. We give you 20. Otherworldly Coffee. Go get some. And now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the stories and musings of Leatherface. What's going on, guys? Sam Donnelly here from HAFL, representing Outlander Media. I am here with a legend, guys. I'm here with Leatherface. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it out of the... No, not that one. I'm here with... No, not that one. He's the one that's sandwiched between Dennis Hopper and Matthew McConaughey. He's that one. He's from Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 3. We are here today with the great R.A. Mihailoff. Sir, how are we doing today?
Fantastic, Sam. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, a pleasure to have you, sir. Pleasure to have you. All right. Well, as everyone knows, man, you're Leatherface. You appeared as one of the 7 deadly sins, being anger, in 2006's Fallen Angels, which you also were an associate producer of, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Actually, myself and a gentleman named Myron St. John came up with the original idea. We conceived the project.
Gotcha. So it's a brainchild.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, Myron was running a haunted attraction at the Shawshank Redemption Prison, the Ohio State Reformatory.
Okay.
And he had booked me as a celebrity guest, and we hit it off really well. And at the end of the weekend, we were smoking cigars in the lobby of the administration building. And Myron said, "You know, R.A., between you and me, we must know everybody in the horror business. We got access to this prison. We ought to do a movie." So we came up with an idea, and we started fleshing it out. It went through several different changes by the time it got made, but yeah, Myron and I started the ball rolling on that. That's why I was an associate producer.
Very nice. I love that sort of grassroots, almost Robert Rodriguez work with what we have mentality. That's brilliant.
Well, I had really big plans for it, you know. I do a lot of driving, and so I have a lot of time to think. And on a long stretch of highway, I came up with this great idea. There were going to be all kinds, just like, I mean, the prison was going to be a super secret government installation housing, paranormal phenomena, creatures, mythical creatures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I conceived, wouldn't even, the money Myron and I could have raised would have only covered the makeup,
Gotcha.
So we handed it off to a gentleman named Jeff Thomas. He was able to get backers. He rewrote it, and that's what became Fallen Angels.
Right on, man. Yeah, definitely go check that out, guys. And also, you might also spot him more recently, and I think it was released in February of 2018, Death House. There was a nice little murder scene by Jason Voorhees himself there, I noticed. We'll get to that in a minute, but looking at your filmography, there were a couple of things that just kind of stood out that you don't really expect to see on the resume of a horror legend. One of those being Season 5, Episode 8 of Full House. Found you on an episode one night, getting a little stoned, got a little, Netflix binge going on, and I'm like, well, there's Leatherface right there. Look at that.
And that came about because my roommate at the time was John Stamos' bodyguard. And, we were bikers. Were, whatever. And that's the characters we played. We played John Stamos' biker buddies.
Yeah.
So
Tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny and brain dead.
And that actually, I will never forget. I was standing around the craft services table, shooting the breeze with Candace Cameron Varela, and Bob Saget came over and started yakking with us, and it was cool, it was fun, and nothing. Didn't really think too much of it. About a month or two later, I get a call from Vin DeBona Productions, and the call was, "Hey, Bob Saget really liked you guys on Full House. He wants you to come down and do something on America's Funniest Home Videos."
Oh, wow.
So, me and my former roommate, we transcribed our characters from Full House over to America's Funniest Home Videos, and we became bodyguards of $100,000.
Oh, I remember that episode.
Where he has the tuxedo pants full of
Yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we shot it in a studio, so we couldn't start the bikes up.
Right.
So they pushed us in.
Oh, wow. That blew me right back to the past. I remember that vividly. Oh,
yeah.
man.
Bob Saget wrote that, wrote those little wraparounds just for us.
That's great. Yeah, I was going to ask if this was like just one of the many casting calls that an actor makes or if this was specifically targeted, but it's kind of nice to know that just by rubbing elbows with Bob Saget, you just kind of keep that truck a-rolling.
Man, I'm telling you, Hollywood is one place where who you know is probably more important than what you can do.
Yeah, for sure, networking.
I would have never gotten Full House and subsequently America's Funniest Home Videos. I never would have gotten Texas Chainsaw 3 if I hadn't known the director.
Yeah, it's all about rubbing elbows with the right people.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I noticed about your scene during the baby shower of that episode, you were getting ready to headbutt. I think his name was Brain Dead, and I just wanted to ask if you found it particularly funny or ironic at how disappointed your character was to not stain the full house carpet with blood. And I was just wondering.
I never ever thought about that till you've mentioned it at this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, that was. We shot that post. Wait a minute, did we? What year was that? Do you remember?
I think that was I want to say that was 1991.
Yeah, so that was actually post Leatherface.
Yeah. Yep. 1 year after.
So, yeah, I didn't think of it. Well, I guess I'm one of those actors that is so focused on the character that I couldn't, channel any other character.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great.
R.A. Mihailoff is tiny.
There you go. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. I was just in my personal canon, I'm just going to believe that was a creative decision to keep Leatherface bloodthirsty even within the canon of the Tanner family. So that's my personal belief.
Well, I love it, and I'm going to steal that from you if you don't mind.
By all means, do that. So Leatherface now exists in the Full House universe, in my opinion.
Geez, maybe we ought to do another one and have the Tanners go on a road trip.
Let's call up Bob and get it rolling.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. John. Now, I had to do some digging on this one because there's not a lot of information out there on this at all. But luckily, I am a hardcore wrestling mark, and I know exactly where to look. And it looks like you've done a little bit of pro wrestling there too.
That is a correct statement on your behalf.
Right on. And what I found out, it kind of started as people would kind of spot you out as Jesse Ventura with the blonde hair, and you were booked to even play a wrestler in a beer commercial, so you just kind of said, well, maybe, this is a new direction for my career. And I was just wondering, have you always been a fan of wrestling, or did you see this as more of an opportunity to shine in a different arena with just your God-given nature of being such a large and intimidating presence?
Well, Sam, the truth of the matter is I've bounced around and bumped up against wrestling since I was a youngster. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Oh, fuck yes.
Okay, so I used to work on the railroad. When I was so young when I signed on to the railroad that my parents had to sign a consent form. And that's too much background anyway. So I've always been big, always been, stronger than average. Mm-hmm. So just for fun, and I had, if you recall, I had that long brown hair and that big bushy beard.
Oh, yes.
I had that for years, when I was on the railroad. Anyway, just for during slow moments on the track, I'd press ties over my head and stuff like that, just, to show off and impress the boys. And I had they call them gangs. I was on a section gang, and the section gang foreman was a huge wrestling fan, and he would always he'd look at me and go, God damn it, R.A., what are you doing working on this goddamn railroad? Why don't you go out and become a professional wrestler? And I didn't want to do that. I had thought about it, but I didn't really want to do it because I wanted to go to Hollywood and become an actor.
Very nice. Very nice.
So I kind of shined the wrestling thing, and then one day, and sort of in that very time period, I ran into the Great Kabuki at a bar room in Toledo, across from the station. So I talked to the Great Kabuki. He offered to help me break in, but I could not square leaving my very high-paying railroad job and go to Toledo to train in wrestling. So I let that opportunity go by.
Wow.
So I was 23 then. Fast forward 10 years. I'm working over at Universal Studios and the A-Team live-action stunt show, where I got beat up by Mr. T eight times a day.
That's a good job.
Yeah, well, it was a great job. And fired thousands of rounds through Ruger Mini 14.
Even better.
We started a competition to see who could squeeze off the most rounds during a show, to the point where management sent us a message backstage to quit firing so many rounds. But that and talk about it, that was one of the funnest jobs I ever had. You know, driving like an idiot in a 4-wheel drive Jeep, shooting machine guns, pistols, rifles. You know,
living the
dream.
dream.
Beat up by Mr. T, getting blown up. You know, it was great. Anyway, so during that particular period, they brought some of the WWF stars to the tour part of Universal where we were.
Gotcha.
Of course, I had to hike right over and say hi to everybody. Big John Studd, Hillbilly Jim, as Jesse calls him, Chico Santana, and Wendy Richter. So I went right over to their trailer and, you know, hobnobbed with them. And during the course of that weekend, I ran into Captain Lou Albano.
Oh, wow.
And I said, Captain Lou, if a fellow wanted to get into this wrestling business, what would he have to do? And Captain Lou looked up at me. He was kind of short. And he looked up to me. First thing he said is, "How old are you?" 33. He pondered that for a moment. He goes, "Well, that's not too old. Did you meet Red Bastien?" I said, "No, I did not." He said, "Well," I said, "Who is that?" He said, "Red Bastien is the West Coast representative of Titan Sports. He has a training camp, and you're in luck because he's moving it down to Los Angeles. Here's his card. Call him up."
Wow.
So I called Red Bastien, made an appointment to meet him at his new training camp in somewhere in the San Fernando Valley. And stop me if I'm carrying this on too long.
No, by all means, keep going.
I made an appointment to meet him at his training camp that was in the gymnasium of a Holiday Health Spa or something. I don't even remember. But I got there a little bit early, so I'm sitting there, and the kid behind the counter was a big, yoked up kind of. If you wanted to describe him stereotypically, he looked like a big college football lineman. You know?
Yeah, big and wide, stout.
Yeah, big and wide, and flat top haircut, and that big thick football player neck and everything. And
just a wall.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting there, and we start talking, and I said, "Yeah, I'm here to train with Red Bastien and become a professional wrestler." He goes, "Oh, that's good. That's cool." He said, "Yeah, I trained with Red."
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. I thought in my mind that training with Red Bastien was going to be the grease the chute right into the big-time TV wrestling.
Right.
So all of a sudden now, my spider sense was tingling.
Right.
Excuse me, if you train with Red Bastien, why aren't you big-time wrestling instead of working a counter at a gym? Well, I've had a couple tag team matches up in Bakersfield. I said, yeah, what kind of dough? Oh, $50 a night. And I went, oh, shit.
Yep.
I was making so much money on the A-Team live action show. $50 a night. I was making that much an hour,
Right.
And now I started. So Red Bastien showed up. We went into the gymnasium where his ring was set up. It was going to be $2,500 for an 8-week training session. No problem. I had my checkbook with me. I was ready to cross the I's and dot the T's, And I'm going to tell you what I'm wearing because I think this is important. I had cowboy boots on, kind of tight blue jeans, kind of tight leather jacket, and did he ask me to take off my jacket so he could see how I was built? Nope. Did he ask me to get in the ring and just maybe work the ropes a little bit? Nope.
Oh, wow.
Was he impressed at the fact that I was doing a live-action stunt show? Nope.
Oh.
The only important thing was if I had my checkbook with me and had $2,500 in my bank account.
Uh-huh.
And I said, so now this is really starting to, in wrestling, it's turning into a schmoz,
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mr. Bastine, after I train with you, do I go, do I go on TV? He goes, oh, no. You have, you have to season you. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I will open up my worldwide contacts to you, and we'll get you placed maybe in Alaska or Tennessee or Texas. And I'm going, what? And the big kid, he said a couple of his classmates were working in Tennessee, making $500 a week. Still, even if I started out of the chute at that was still going to be a severe cut in pay. So I don't, man, it just all went. It went spiraling down the toilet.
Yeah. Trying to find that financial balance there, the passion and the means.
I thought it was. Like I said, I thought it greased the chutes to the big time. Years later, though, I may have been a little hasty because years later, when I knew more about the biz, I found out that even Kurt Angle, superstar Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, Kurt Angle, he had to spend 2 years in the Ohio Valley learning how to work.
Mm-hmm.
So very few people go from straight onto TV. It takes a while to get seasoned.
Yeah, your name pretty much has to be Bill Goldberg for that to happen.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Goldberg. I can't say, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had to, spend some time in dark houses and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. There was a little bit of a power plant training there for him, but it definitely wasn't like it should have been, and compared to other wrestlers.
Yeah, plus all his matches were squashes, and basically all he did was run in and spear somebody.
He was very protected.
Yeah, so but what really Kurt Angle had to spend 2 years in Ohio Valley wrestling, so that I should have maybe thought about it a little bit more. So, are we ready for the last episode of wrestling?
Let's do it. Trilogy.
Okay, so now fast forward a dozen years. Me and my partner Gary Casper are training at the world famous Gold's Gym in North Hollywood, California, brother.
Oh, the Arnold Gym.
Yeah, well, he trained in Venice, but we were up in North Hollywood. By then, I'd bleached my hair blonde, I'd cut my beard down to a goatee, and we were both pretty big and trained pretty hard. And this personal trainer we knew that worked at the gym, came up to us and said, "Hey, are you guys interested in going to wrestling school for free?" Oh, well, now, yeah, maybe we are.
That magic word.
By the way, Gary Casper, my training partner, Gary Casper, was in the running to play Jesse Ventura in the Jesse Ventura biopic.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, well, my other friend, Niels Allen Stewart, got the part, but Gary was right there. It was between the two of them.
Gotcha.
And anyway, so yeah, we said, well, yeah, we'll go to wrestling school. So we ended up going to the same wrestling school, basically at the same time as John Cena.
Right, I'd heard that as well.
Yeah, I have no memory of John Cena from that wrestling school. He was a few levels of advanced over us, so we didn't actually, get in the ring together or anything like that.
Right.
But when we were there, we were students at the same wrestling school.
That's great.
But I didn't finish that wrestling school, and quite frankly, by then I'd kind of aged out of any chance at a long-term career.
Right, because it's kind of a very short lifespan for as far as the career of a wrestler goes.
Yeah, I mean, Hulk Hogan, Jesse Ventura, and I are basically the same age.
Right.
But those guys started in their 20s.
Right.
So, I was 20 years too late.
Right.
But I did end up doing a few shows with AWF, American Wrestling Federation. I did a few shows with them, but there was no way to make a living doing that.
Right.
So
that was just kind of considered a local promotion at that point.
Yes, exactly. And so I may not be a wrestler, but I've played one on TV.
There you go, and a commercial.
Yeah.
There you go.
A couple of commercials actually. I did a Miller Lite where I played a wrestler. I did a Hawaiian Airlines where I played like a professional strongman. Oh, and then while I was active with AWF, several of us did a TV pilot with, what's the girl that used to be on the morning show with Hoda?
Oh.
Married to the baseball player? Kathy Lee Gifford?
Kathy Lee.
Yep.
Kathy Lee.
She did a pilot for some kind of prank show, and the gimmick was she takes these people out for dinner or whatever, and when they come home, their house has been trashed by or is invaded by. We trashed these people's house, even though it was a stage, and so we got to be on a TV show with her. So.
And you were playing like a wrestling character in that show?
Yeah.
Just invading someone's house and just.
And a wrestling brawl breaks out.
That's great.
It was pretty funny. I thought it was kind of cool.
Just taking bumps on prop tables and just causing a scene, getting reactions.
Getting framed pictures broken over our heads and stuff like that.
Dude, I'm glad you mentioned pranks because I want to use that to segue into your ghost hunting gig real quick.
Okay.
Hollywood Ghost Hunters is what this is called, and this is pretty much cobbled up by Kane Hodder, of course, everyone knows as Jason Voorhees, and stuntman Rick McCullum, who he's done tons of stunts for Sid Haig as well as many other movies as well, and that was and you roll with these guys and go to haunted places and just do some paranormal sort of detective work. Am I correct?
That is an absolute correct statement on your behalf. And of interest may be the fact that the group coalesced at the Shawshank Redemption prison. That's where it began.
Right. Yes. I was going to touch on that because that was involving Fallen Angels at the Mansfield Reformatory, where I'd heard that Kane and Rick had some kind of experience there, and that kind of led to all of that. And I think you kind of touched on that at the beginning of this. But I was going to ask if, while you're ever at any of these locations, if you guys ever do like play pranks on each other, or is it like 100% serious 100% of the time?
Well, we try to keep the actual ghost hunting legitimate and serious. There may be a prank or two on occasion, but it's not a regular occurrence. But Kane Hodder and I prank the shit out of each other.
I can totally see that.
When we go to conventions, we have a blast because we're bagging on each other all weekend long, and it's a lot of fun for us, and it's a lot of fun for the fans.
That's great.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask, this is just kind of a fun question for the group, but I am curious because this is just a group, and there's more people involved with this as well. Danielle Harris from Halloween, and personally my favorite, Last Boy Scout as Bruce Willis's daughter. Breakthrough performance there, loved her in that. But I was just, with all these horror legends, all these people who are constantly scaring people for a living and have pretty much seen every gruesome thing in the book, who's the biggest pussy out of all of you?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. I can't say that on record.
Oh, come on. You can't even hint. It's Kane, isn't it? No? Okay, that was really where I was wanting to know. I was just wanting to know if it was him.
No, that's how the whole group came together. Rick McCullum has been a true believer and avid ghost hunter for years, and then so he asked Kane to go with him, to check out some of the deeper parts of the prison. And as Rick tells the story, he's never been able to find anybody that was as, I guess, brave as he was in confronting the paranormal. Most people, get cold feet and leave. So I guess they encountered something. Rick turned to Kane to say something in the dark, and Kane was gone.
Oh.
And Rick said, "Oh shit, I've lost another one." And then when he turned back, Kane was charging toward the phenomenon.
Whoa. And
so that's how that all happened, and that is our motto. If you run, you're done.
Wow. So he was charging at the whatever the occurrence was.
He was probably going to tackle it.
So he's the anti-pussy then. He is just the complete opposite end.
Yes, and the truth is, I really can't think of anybody that has been an abject coward or anything like that.
Right on. Right on. And it's just...
And we're very selective about our membership. It's an exclusive club.
Gotcha. Very, very much so. I can sleep better at night knowing that Kane Hodder is more than willing to punch a demon in the face. That just makes me feel secure.
Oh, he was going after it. So then Rick said, finally, I found someone that will hang with me. So
that was the moment.
Yep, and then, let's face it, they're two Hollywood stuntmen. And so they must have decided that they needed a pretty face, and that's why they got a hold of me.
There you go. I was just about to ask, what made you come along here?
That's what?
I was just going to ask right after that, or right before you said that, what was it that made you come along in there? Just a pretty face?
They invited me because they needed a pretty face, and
Beautiful.
Of course I was happy to oblige.
Now, these are guys you've worked with forever, too. You seem to kind of work with a lot of the same people. You kind of travel in the same circles, and it's kind of been this way for years. The likes of, Bill Moseley, Kane Hodder, Daniel Harris, all these people. And you make all of these, nice ensemble movies. And more notably and recently, Death House, which was written by the OG Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen. Now, I was just wondering, because oftentimes writers and directors, they'll inject personal little statements and creative jabs into their work, and I was just wondering if you feel like your death scene in Death House was maybe written as a way of saying that Gunnar's Leatherface is more superior to your Leatherface, or maybe that your Leatherface is weaker than Jason Voorhees.
Well, you have an interesting mind, my I'm compared to you, I'm about as shallow as a mud puddle. Never, ever, somehow I don't cross-pollinate the projects.
Right on, okay.
It never occurred to me, like we spoke about in Full House, and it never occurred to me any of that stuff when we were doing Death House. Quite frankly, I believe the role was written for anybody, you know what I mean? And, like I said, that thought that you raised never crossed my mind.
I get weird thoughts sometimes. I like just seeing those little nods. It's kind of like in From Dusk Till Dawn when you see Tom Savini and Greg Nicotero there. Nicotero being, his old lackey back in the Day of the Dead days, right. And then them kind of having that little tongue-in-cheek duel. So yeah. I was just wondering if that might have been something kind of in the same vein.
I don't think so. You know, I never had a chance to talk to Gunnar about it because by the time the movie came together, Gunnar was already passed, and I didn't know if I was even going to work on the movie. You know?
Wow.
So, speaking of From Dusk Till Dawn, do you know that the character of Sex Pistol was originally written for me?
Really?
Yep.
Very nice.
Yep, but obviously I did not do it.
What was it that made you not take that role on?
The fact that they didn't call me.
Oh, fair enough.
By the time when Bob Kurtzman, who came up with the original idea, I'll never forget, we were at a party at somebody's house in Hollywood. I can't remember who it was. But I remember I was sitting at a table drinking beer with Sam Raimi and Michael Rooker.
That's a night.
Yeah. I mean, everybody that was in horror was at this party. And later in the day, I was sitting out on the front porch with Greg Nicotero and his girlfriend. And Bob Kurtzman came out. This is when they were still KNB. And he goes, hey, Kurtzman said, hey, I'm working on this story about bikers and cowboys and truckers who go to a strip bar, and the strip bar is full of vampire strippers. And I got a part in mind for you. So I actually signed a letter of interest with Kurtzman, and but once it reverted back to Quentin, Quentin Tarantino actually wrote the script as payment for the ear slicing gag in Reservoir Dogs.
Huh. That's an interesting little factoid.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. So once it went back to Quentin and he handed it off to Robert Rodriguez, I got lost in the shuffle. So that's what happened to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh.
and they actually split the character of Sex Pistol and whatever character Fred the Hammer Williamson played.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking. I forget the name. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I was supposed to have a big fight with the bouncer and stuff, and it was going to be. It actually said in the script, "Clash of the Titans" or something like that.
Yes. That's how Quentin writes.
Yeah. So, but like I said, once it went through so many hands, I got shuffled, lost in the shuffle.
Gotcha. That was bound to happen in the biz.
Bound to happen. I would have loved to have done the movie, but what are you going to do?
Because we are talking about, like, all of these horror legends, like, sticking together. I mean, there's got to be some kind of, like, camaraderie there. Like, Kevin Smith, often works with his friends almost every movie, and he's been criticized early on for doing that. And I just wanted to know if that whole working with your friends camaraderie helps keep those fires going and that creativity flowing and that passion for what you guys do alive.
I think I have that innate passion. I've always had it and always will. But the fact that we all work together quite often or see each other quite often at conventions, that is the proverbial icing on the cake. It's just like any other job. Wouldn't you rather hire your friends than total strangers?
Right. I've always had that same mentality.
Yeah, I mean, if your friend is right for the role, why not have your friend in the part? But that happens in every kind of trade there is. I mean, John Wayne. Well, not John Wayne, but John Ford used many of the same people over and over and over again in his classic westerns with John Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Dobie Carey, Harry Carey Jr., Dobie, John Agar, Ward Bond, Hank Warden, etc., etc., etc. They did multiple movies together, and it's almost like going to summer camp. You see your friends every so often.
Yeah, get that vibe. It's almost like you're not working.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, the camaraderie is there in the actual movie. Like when we did Hatchet 2, it was me and Kane again, and you know, Daniel Harris, Tony Todd, and Mr. Tom Holland. You know.
Oh yes.
And we all just had a blast. We just had a blast. Same thing when we did Smothered with John Schneider.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me and Kane again, Bill Moseley, Don Shanks. We had a blast. I don't know. Maybe I just like working or something. But every time I work, I have a blast.
I think it shows in the films as well whenever you have that sort of vibe going on with the cast and crew. It shows that you're having a good time, that it's a big party for you guys, that it's almost just as much for you as it is for, you know, the bottom line and the outcome of the movie.
Well, you know, particularly in Smothered, I used to tell people when we were previewing it and things like that, I would tell people, if you all watching the movie had as much fun if you all had as much fun watching the movie as we did making the movie, it'll be a hit.
Yes.
You know?
That should be a proverb.
Maybe one day it will be.
Let's just keep doing it. Keep pushing it. Well, R.A., do you have anything coming along the pike that we should probably plug here?
Well, you know, just lined up for a lot of Halloween appearances, you know, through September and October all around the country. Look for local listings.
Local listings.
And I've got a movie. Just spoke to the executive producer today. They're back in the editing booth, and it's one I'm very excited about because we want this movie to become a cult classic. I don't know if you can manufacture a cult classic. I think it has to happen organically. But he wants, and I do too, quite frankly, would love to see the movie become a cult classic. It's called Ride Hard, Live Free.
I just watched the trailer of that the other day.
You did?
Yes. It's on IMDb. I just saw the trailer for that.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. You know, it's I hate to say it, but it's a post-apocalyptic biker movie, because when you say that, it's visions of Mad Max.
Right.
But it's nothing like Mad Max. It's just something has happened to American society at large, and the bikers are living out in the Nevada free zone, you know?
Gotcha.
We're pretty much just like, well, you know, a contemporary bike club, except we just don't have guns, you know?
Yeah, that's what I noticed about the trailer. I did get that Mad Max vibe, but instead of like water being that precious resource, it was guns in this case.
Yeah, we got plenty of motorcycles, we got plenty of gas, seems like we got plenty of food, we got everything except guns, and that's sort of the big plot, turning point of the plot. The little girl finds a cache of guns and barricades herself in the motorhome, and, you know, we spend most of the movie, or half the movie, trying to coax, wheedle, and cajole the guns from her. But for me, it was the perfect project. I got to go to the desert and ride motorcycles. Got to hang out with real outlaw motorcycle clubs.
Yeah, I heard that there was 3 motorcycle clubs that they were extras, and they offered like technical assistance and such.
Yes. Yes. We actually wore real motorcycle club colors.
Gotcha.
And
realism.
You got a minute for another anecdote?
Let's do it.
Well, when this project was being put together, you know, my manager, Judy Fox, she does all the negotiating, and I never talk to the people at the other end till it's done. Right. So she would give me periodic updates. Oh, yeah, you know, the director's a really nice guy. He lives in Las Vegas. You know, okay, great, yeah, okay. So finally the project gets put together, and she sends me the script. So I start reading it. Page 17. Interior, Sconer's Motorcycle Club, Clubhouse Night. Oh. Sconer's is a real outlaw motorcycle club. It's in this script.
Right.
By a guy that lives in Las Vegas, where Stoners have several chapters.
Right.
Well, I called Judy, and I said, Judy, do these people know that they're using an actual motorcycle club in their script? And she goes, I don't know. I'll call and find out. I had visions. Here's the vision I had. The director cruising down the Las Vegas Strip one night with his wife driving. Hey, honey, pull over. I want to take a picture of those jackets. They look really cool in my movie. And then we'd be out in some remote desert location, and about 25 or 30 real stoners would roll up and teach us the facts of life.
Oh, man, that would be messy.
Yeah, so this was going to be a big sticking point for me, you know. I mean, I was aware of the stoners because I knew somebody that was a member of the club. Didn't know a lot about the club, but I knew it was a real existing club, you know. And if they were using the patches, the cuts, the colors for without permission, I'm out. I couldn't do it, you know.
Right.
So
Major conflict of interest.
Well, no, it'd be an invitation to an ass kicking.
Well, that would be the conflict of interest.
Yeah. You know, and so about 2 hours later, she calls me back. She says, "It's okay. The executive producer is a member of another motorcycle club."
Oh, wow. So there's just like this network going on.
Yeah. So we actually used both of the club's colors in the movie, and the national president of the Stoners was the technical advisor on the movie.
That's great.
Oh, it was great.
That was one thing I'd read up about the production company, and they said that one of their big like branding things is just like bringing back that sort of realism to film. And I guess you're not going to get realer than getting actual motorcycle clubs to come and be in your movie.
Yeah. You know, authenticity. You know, there were. I remember once we were doing a funeral scene, and we wanted to ad-lib a couple lines, so one of the stoners, you know, righteous brothers, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So I took the line, you know. The character's Tank, and he goes, you know, these two guys, you know, they're what more can I say? And there was a beat, and one of the real stoners off camera goes, righteous brothers. And everybody loved it, so I took the line, and it's in the movie now.
That's great. So that even more realism affecting the not necessarily the outcome of the story, but affecting how the story's told, just making it that much more realistic, as if like it's just more of the real McCoy right there in front of you.
Yeah. Well, it's the real deal. It's as real as you can get without, you know, involving law enforcement.
Speaking of which, oh my God, I heard that there was another instance where someone was riding around with like the fake body parts and such, and got a ticket, but all of that was like they missed all of the fake body parts when they pulled him over.
That was the executive producer.
The executive producer.
He was driving a pickup truck. Pickup truck was full of edged weapons, you know, like axes, spears, machetes.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah, and I think he had calf brains on the floor of the pickup truck. And he got pulled over for talking on his cell phone.
Oh, wow.
And that's all he got the ticket for. The cop never said anything about the weapons or the brains or anything like that.
Oh, man. Well, with a project like that, there's obviously a lot of passion put into that. When can we expect to possibly get more info on that? When is there a release date?
Well, you know, I think I might have said I just spoke with the executive producer earlier today, and but he's, like you said, it's back in the editing room, and I don't think there is a hard release date yet.
Gotcha.
We've actually talked about four-walling it. You know that term?
Yes. But if you want to explain it for the audience.
Yes. Four-walling is where you take a picture and you go from theater to theater to theater and play it for the audience. We are considering four-walling it in the unique way for bikers by going to motorcycle rallies.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And the deal is, we're all motorcycle enthusiasts, like I said, the executive producer is a founding member of a motorcycle club,
Right.
And I mean, that would be so cool, we'd get to go to all these bike rallies and kind of, have a very prominent presence there, and these guys are just kind of fun to hang out with, so it'd be really cool.
That's a totally unique film market, too. I mean, a movie for bike guys, by bike guys, shown at bike things. Like, that's a unique way. And it'll also bring in outside people that may not be into it that could, sort of get into that culture, have a nice sort of melting pot going on.
Exactly.
I love that.
I do, too.
That's great. So, ride hard, live free.
Ride hard, live free.
Keep your eyes on the news of motorcycle rallies, ladies and gentlemen. R.A., it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. I just have one more question, if you could indulge me.
Lay it out, Sam.
All right. Now, again, you're a legend. You might as well be on the long, illustrious Mount Rushmore of horror icons. With all of this history from playing a character like Leatherface to working on a consistent basis with the face, if you will, of Jason Voorhees, and being cemented in the history of the greatest horror legends ever to be known in the cinema world, what do you see the future of horror to be? And what words of advice would you pass down to today's generation of thrill seekers and gore lovers?
Well, I would just like to say a little clarification. I'm a legend in my own mind. The character, of course, is the iconic one, and that character should be carved in the Mount Rushmore of horror icons. I am one of the very fortunate people that got to play that character. I think but if you were to put the human face to those, make a Mount Rushmore with the actors themselves, I think it would have to be, right off the top of my head, Robert Englund, Bruce Campbell, Kane Hodder, and Tony Todd.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I think those would be the four biggest names in horror to date. And where do I see horror coming in the future?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, brother. If I could predict what was going to go over, I'd be rolling a camera tomorrow morning. Well, one thing I want to say, one of the most exciting, I think, even though I haven't even seen it, is Headhunter. Do you know about that?
I've heard of it, yes.
This movie is brilliant. And it's so much in my... This is a movie I wish Jeff Burr and I had made 25 years ago. It's set in some kind of quasi-medieval slash fantasy world.
Nice. You don't see enough of those.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy is he's a headhunter. He's a bounty hunter for mythological creatures, and he gets his marching orders from the king in the castle via bow and arrow. The scroll wrapped around the arrow shaft.
Yeah.
In the entire movie, you only see 3 people.
Oh, wow.
the headhunter, his daughter, and the archer on the parapets of the castle, who was not even an actor but was a member of the crew. And they shot it, some up in Northern California, some of it in Portugal. The castle was an old bakery. From the still pictures I've seen, it looks phenomenal. The guy that plays the headhunter, it looks just absolutely perfect. The set dressing looks absolutely perfect. It just the armor the guy wears, man. If I had pictures of me in that armor, it'd be it'd be something. They got to do a sequel to that, and I want to be in it.
So medieval horror is a possible direction for the future of horror. I'm taking that as a prediction. I like that.
Well, I hope these guys do a sequel, and I damn well want to be right one of the first in line to be considered for a part in it. But just flipping back a page and a half, before I get too old, too fat, or just plain die, I want to do a biker horror picture.
Biker horror. I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been R.A. Mihailoff. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Doing an excellent job.
Oh, thank you so much. You're making my day. Sir, thank you so much again, R.A., for being with us and just regaling stories of the past and what's coming up. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, Sam, thank you for being an excellent interviewer. You know, that makes the hour go by so much easier.
Oh, that means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even seem like we've been on the phone for an hour, does it?
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I just checked the time. It has been an hour. Man. I was told 15 to 20 minutes.
Huh?
I said I was told 15 to 20 minutes.
That's fine. I thought it was going to last an hour, so it did. That's fine with me.
Well, wonderful. It has been a pleasure, sir.
Well, Sam, it's been a pleasure from my end as well.
Excellent. All right. So everybody, check out Headhunter, the medieval horror. That's not even a plug for the man that I'm talking to, but it's his recommendation. Go check out Headhunter. Keep up with your local motorcycle rallies for a possible viewing of what was it? Ride Hard, Live Free.
Ride Hard, Live Free.
Ride Hard, Live Free. Thank you again, R.A. Well, I was about to say I would talk to you later, but, man, this may be the last time, but I'd love to have you back on.
I was just going to say, maybe we ought to schedule round 2 sometime in the future.
I will have my people talk to your people.
And they'll do lunch.
We will do lunch, absolutely.
They'll do lunch.
They'll do lunch. You and I will probably sit in our living rooms and watch Netflix or something.
Or drink orange soda and eat honey buns.
There you go. Orange soda and honey. This interview has been brought to you by orange soda and honey buns.
Which used to be my breakfast when I was a youth. when I was working on cross country oil exploration, that was my big breakfast.
Orange soda and honey bun. You got to get your energy somehow, especially when you're hard at work.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know why I came up with that thought.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been an absolute honor. Thank you so much. I'm going to be bragging about this for quite some time.
Thank you. You're too kind to me, and I'm serious about it. We need to do this again.
We will definitely do this again. I will talk to my producer about that.
All right. As it is written, so shall it be done.